Hello and welcome to this week's edition of ELCAT News. I'm Jen Carlos. On Tuesday, the Planning Board voted to recommend to the Town Council that a provision of the zoning bylaw not be removed. Contractor John Grimaldi of Lee Street petitioned the Council for removal of a requirement that commercial vehicles parked in residential districts be garaged or screened from view. That request was sent for a public hearing and recommendation from the Planning Board.
If not garage, commercial vehicles must be screened from view. That's the paragraph that is being petitioned to be removed.
Supporters of the petition had earlier argued that the restriction places an unreasonable burden on people who either own vehicles that are required by state law to have commercial registrations or who bring home vehicles owned by their employer.
I work for Columbia Gas. My father worked at Springfield Gas Light Company. He took a vehicle home his whole time. He's a 30-year employee. I'm a 36-year employee of the gas company. I've had utility trucks, vans, and now I have a pickup truck that I park at my house. I didn't know what was transpiring. If this man, it came to me, I would have signed his petition. I had a cop show up at my house at 9:30 at night, knocking at my door, and I have 2 young kids. And I was kind of scared because if something happened to him. He's telling me I have a commercial vehicle and he says I couldn't park out in the street, which I didn't know I could or couldn't. And it was never a problem. Then I'm told I can't even have a commercial truck because it has a commercial plate on it. That's kind of like a crazy law to me. Like he says, I'm just trying to make a living. I should be able to do that.
And I'd like to clarify, it does not say that you cannot have a commercial vehicle on your property. It says that if you have a commercial vehicle, you need to either garage it or put it behind the fence or some kind of a barrier so it can't be seen from the street.
Okay, so this, what I'm understanding is we're trying to change. I should be able to park that in my driveway.
That's what the petitioner is asking for.
Other supporters argued that the working vehicles reflect the character of the town and the industriousness of its residents.
This town is made up of white-collar workers and blue-collar workers. People are out there making a living. Is this some kind of threat to property values, that there's going to be a commercial vehicle in a driveway? What a crisis. What a crisis this is. You've got to be kidding me. I was a computer engineer for 30 years. 30 years, computer engineer, working on medical systems. I had a commercial vehicle. Sometimes I had a company emblem on the side. You don't want me as a neighbor? You don't want my vehicle shown? What is the difference here? What are we trying to do? This is a town made up of working people, and we're saying that this is a crisis to have a commercial vehicle next in the property next to you. You really got to think hard of what you're trying to do here. It's not Long Meadow. I don't want to be Long Meadow. I want to live in Long Meadow, live in Long Meadow. This town was built on working people. Don't lose focus of what this town is. It's not Long Meadow. Thank you.
At Tuesday's hearing, residents opposed to the petition spoke in favor of maintaining the current requirements.
I oppose that change in the bylaw. It's residential area, it's a residential homes. It should not have commercial vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My understanding is that we have zoning in town. We have residential zoning, we have commercial zoning. And I think commercial zoning is intended for the purpose of garaging commercial vehicles. I think residential zoning is intended for the purpose of having residential vehicles. So I think if a vehicle is registered as a commercial vehicle, it should be either screened or out of view, or it should be parked at a suitable facility, suitable location.
I would also oppose it. This was originally put into place. I mean, parking a commercial dump truck in your driveway. The biggest problem is, I think, is noise. They tend to start very early. You have engines idling, and it can be very annoying, and that's why I oppose it.
While voting to recommend that the council not adopt the change as petitioned, the planning board suggested that it would consider some revision or clarification of commercial vehicle for the purposes of the bylaw.
One of the issues is that what are we trying to prevent by preventing people parking commercial vehicles in their driveways? And I think the overwhelming intent of this is to keep signed vehicles or vehicles with graphics on them so that we don't have rolling billboards in the neighborhoods parked overnight. I agree that a F-150 with no markings on it with commercial plates doesn't look any worse than an F-150 with regular plates on it. So in my opinion, I think what the board needs to do is to consider a coming up with a definition of commercial vehicle. At our next meeting, put together a definition of commercial vehicle, perhaps based on the definitions that we've seen from Newton and Wilbraham, and also the discussions that have recently gone on in Longmeadow, which were covered in the reminder.
The issue now goes back to the Town Council for further discussion and a decision. The board also resumed a public hearing on the request from Pride Stores, Inc. for a modification of its special permit to expand its hours of operation at the gas station and convenience store at the Rotary. Owner Robert Bulldog summarized his understanding of the discussions that had taken place at earlier sessions of the hearing.
Over here is Bentley's and Center Square, as you know. Both of those are allowed to stay open until 2. We have said previously we'd be happy to go to 12. In spite of the fact that the Shell station in town was allowed to go to 1. But in deference to the fact that this might be considered a neighborhood, although we don't think it is, because you can see it's businesses all around, except for these 2 houses, and there's adequate buffering, we feel, between those. And we have a history of not making any noise. People come in and get gas, they buy something in the store and they leave. So it's not like we're prone to causing any problems. In addition, of course, we've always said that there's the competitive aspect, that businesses should be treated equally. Our history, as we say, is we have not had a problem. And I would add that right now, you've allowed the Shell to go to 1 and said, well, if there's a problem, we'll cut them back. But in our case, you're saying we can only go to 11, and if you're good, you can extend, which seems to be certainly inconsistent. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
2 residents then spoke in opposition to the expansion of hours.
There are concerns. There have been challenges. We won't say problems, but there have been challenges with the store. There have been challenges with the hours of operation, I believe, closing on time, staying open late. So my concern is, you mentioned the other Pride store in town. My feeling is if he's thumbed his nose up at the town already, what's going to keep the corporation from thumbing their nose up when this decision is made and doing whatever the corporation wants to do? There are challenges with the dumpster at night. There are other challenges that you finally, do you want us to call him at 3 a.m. when the dumpster is being emptied? I don't think so. Just like we don't want to hear the dumpster at 3 a.m. when it's being emptied either. So, thank you.
The pictures Mr. Bolduc has shown here, I would challenge any of those businesses in that photograph, immediate photograph, are not open until 11 o'clock and certainly not 1 o'clock. And in light of what's happened down at City Line, I keep that as a negative factor. And I just asked the board to consider, we want to be East Longmeadow, the town of, we don't want to look like a city and have it for convenience of people who don't even live in our town. We really need to keep our town charm and not become a city. Thank you.
The Planning Board, which has sole authority over special permits in town, denied the request for modification of hours. The current closing time for the Rotary location is 10 p.m. Coming up on Tuesday, beginning 1 hour earlier at 5 p.m., the Town Council will hold its annual budget hearing for the public at the Council on Aging, 328 North Main Street. Town Manager Denise Menard and town department heads will attend. Ms. Menard presented the detailed budget proposal to the Council for the review on April 10th. Also on the agenda for Tuesday's Council meeting is a 6:30 p.m. continuation of the public hearing for the creation of a mixed-use zone for the parcel on Chestnut Street. The owners and their development partners have proposed a mixed-use development of retail, residential apartments, and condominium townhouses on the 40-acre site. The proposal would require adoption of a new mixed-use zone, something not currently existing in the town zoning bylaw. Again, that hearing begins at 6:30 p.m. Also a reminder that on Thursday, April 26th from 4 to 7 p.m., the East Longmeadow Senior Center will host a meet and greet for the 3 candidates seeking the open seat on the school committee. Susan Mantoni, Jonathan Torsha, and Sarah Truiello are all running in the preliminary election to be held on Tuesday, May 1st. And now, here's how you can help others by donating blood in town this upcoming week. In East Longmeadow, blood donations are held frequently at various locations throughout town. But why should you donate blood? Well, for starters, safe blood improves lives and health. Blood transfusions are needed for women with complications of pregnancy, children with severe anemia, people with severe trauma following disasters, and many other complex medical and surgical procedures. It is also needed for regular transfusions for people with conditions like sickle cell disease. There is a constant need for regular blood supply because blood can be stored for only a limited time before use. Regular blood donations by a sufficient number of healthy people are needed to ensure that safe blood will be available whenever and wherever it is needed. Blood is the most precious gift that anyone can give to another person, the gift of life. To donate, have a light meal and plenty to drink. Bring your donor card, driver's license, or 2 other forms of identification, and bring the names of any medications you're taking. Every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood, and approximately 36,000 units of red blood cells are needed every day in the U.S. So on Monday, April 23rd, from 1 to 6 p.m., head over to Rockies on North Main Street to donate with the Bay State Bloodmobile. Each eligible donor receives a free Big Y or Dunkin' Donuts gift card. Or on Tuesday, April 24th, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., go to St. Paul Lutheran Church on 181 Elm Street to donate. For more information on Bay State Health's blood donor program and the Bloodmobile schedule, visit their website at www.baystatehealth.org. And now here's a quick look at what's happening at the East Longmeadow Public Library this week. The Teen Writing Workshop continues through May 26 on Saturdays from 10 to 1 p.m. Teens are welcome to register for the remaining sessions. ELCAT spoke to Jennifer and Elizabeth Gayberry, co-instructors of the workshop, about their approach to challenging and encouraging aspiring young writers.
So it's mainly about sharing your work and receiving feedback from other writers. It's about establishing a literary community.
One of the biggest struggles of being a writer is finding that community, finding a safe space to share your work and get positive feedback and, constructive criticism, which sometimes is hard to come by. There's just not a lot of resources out there, especially for younger writers. I think it's even a bigger struggle for them than it is for adult writers like myself and Jen. So I would definitely encourage them, whether it's our workshop or somebody else's workshop, if that is available to you, take advantage of it, because there's so much growth that you go through as a writer just by the opportunity to share your work and get that feedback. It's just so important.
Well, the age range is generally 14 to 18, although we do accept slightly younger and slightly older students. They're generally high school students from right around here, from East Longmeadow and surrounding towns and cities. Well, most of our students are pretty advanced, but a lot of them come in a little bit shy, a little bit hesitant at first, but they are so mutually supportive of one another. We've never even had to clarify what constructive criticism is, and all of them have opened up and befriended one another, and it is a really great community that's been built here.
Gayberry encourages any teen with an interest in writing to consider registering to join the current workshop by contacting the library at 525-5400 extension 1511 or by registering online at the library's website. On Monday, April 23rd, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is a climate change movie and panel discussion. In honor of Earth Day, the library is hosting a free showing of An Inconvenient Sequel, a documentary by former Vice President Al Gore, followed by a panel of activists who are working locally to fight climate change. Discuss and learn how you can become active in your community in the fight against global warming. Speakers will be Michelle Morantz, Joelle Millian, and Mark Polman. Registration is required. On Wednesday, April 25th is Money Matters. A representative from Webster Bank will be at the library for Money Smart Week, a national initiative from the American Library Association and Federal Reserve Bank to help members of our community manage their personal finances better. In this financial literacy workshop, you'll learn the steps to setting financial goals, prepare a personal plan, and identify spending plan tools to help manage your bills. Finally, on Wednesday, the library hosted a drop-in Lego build for the day for kids to come in, create something with Legos, and have it displayed at the library. Take a look. I'm Jen Carlos. Thanks for watching. See you next time.